Your favorite metal band just released a new album, and you're stoked. You go and check it out, and guess what? It's filled with chunky bangers. You jam it, you have a good weekend, enjoying yourself, enjoying the life, and you're just at next week, and oh damn, it's already Friday again. And guess what? Next Friday, there's another 50 new metal releases. And you're like, oh, okay, well that's cool. I'm still jamming, the record I got last Friday, but this is cool, a lot of new stuff, And then another week goes by, and then there's another 50 album releases that are all metal that come out on Friday. And you're like, okay. And you start to realize, there's a lot of new music that I need to catch up on. And you maybe don't listen to that previous album as much, even though it was a banger. And then you notice, a few months go by and you haven't really heard any news from the band unless you see them on tour or unless they get canceled. And you realize, there's probably not going to be any new news from them for like 2 years or so, the usual album cycle. And because there's so much music coming out, like it's disgusting the amount of metal albums that are released every single week. It's hard to even keep up with your favorite ones, to be honest. And when these bands take all this time, again, they probably spent like 2 years writing this album, putting their soul and heart into it, into every single track, front to back. And they release it. It's hype for maybe a couple of weeks, a month. And then people are just like, well, where's the next one? Not saying that people won't still jam the album, but a significant portion of the people who are usually fans or really love the album will start listening a lot less and listen to other things instead as they wait for new releases, which they got to wait a couple years. And this just puts so much pressure on these bands. So now it seems you have a lot of bands, of course, just releasing singles in general. That seems pretty normalized, but especially releasing more than they ever have. And let's say you release that first single and it hits. Nice. People are hyped. Again, they listen to it for like a week and they want more. So you let it wait out for maybe a month and you throw down another single, right? Include a video. Just again, it just adds to the specialty of it, the hype of that day. And people are excited again. They're like, oh, wow. First track banged, second track banged. I'm okay. I see where they're going and I like it. Wait a month, maybe a month or two, release another single. Oh, damn. 3 for 3. And while bands are doing this, it also just allows them to kind of test the waters, test the market, see how people are reacting to, let's say, even the first single. Maybe people really like the band, but the first single just didn't hit. Maybe it'll allow the band to reevaluate, if the album's already not written, hopefully, maybe let's change a few things here and there. Maybe they were like, well, this is really, boring or just kind of soft or generic, as the metal scene likes to use. Let's spice it up. Let's make it weirder. Let's make it heavier. Let's do whatever for the next single to reach the expectations of our fans. And it gives them more time to kind of do that with this spacing without having to spend 2 years doing it. We were just talking about this literally yesterday on my Twitch stream of how even a band like Memphis May Fire, I think they have like 10 songs on their album, and 7 of them are already released. And the album comes out June 3rd. There just might even be another single before that, right? Maybe the whole album will come out before the album is really out. And the way they've been doing that is making it so every single song gets its own day, its own shining point, its own, not full music video, but even visualizer. It makes every single song special, and all the work they put into it seem very worth it because a good chunk of their fan base is going to listen to every one of those singles as it gives it space and as it kind of gives that excitement, right? It's that constant content kind of idea, which is weirdly mirrored to YouTubers and YouTube content. I mean, think of some of, again, your favorite YouTubers or Twitch streamers. If they only streamed or made a video once, a couple times every 2 years, sure, it's super hype, but then you forget they exist. And that is tough to make a living as a YouTuber or a streamer doing that meta, which again is not a complete parallel, but It's interesting to see just the idea of content in general and how quickly nowadays people consume content in the idea of music. And a lot of these bands now, and the best example I can use of this is Of Mice and Men's release of Echo, where they did it a very specifically and uniquely where they released singles that were then multiple EPs, and they combined all the EPs basically into a compilation. I wouldn't even call it an album, right? It was an album release, but all the songs were already out. There was nothing new, but every one of those songs on that album just exploded with streaming, exploded with views, and everyone knew those songs, which is great because all those songs got all that love. And people had constant content as they were rolling out. They're like, oh, new Of Mice and Men already? What? How? Right? It just seems in terms of marketing, which, let's be real, there's so much music out there. There's so many bands. You can have some of the best songs in the world, but if you don't have good marketing and a good rollout, it's just really tough. You know, a band releases a whole album. You don't see Spotify adding the entire album to their playlist. They pick one song. That's it. And that song is going to get highlighted and played way more than everything else on the album, usually. And all the other songs are just not going to get that spotlight and that time and that well-earned marketing hour. But also, a lot of people do just like listening to full albums and having a good chunk of new songs when it comes out. And it's also just an older format. People are just used to it. And of course, you know, if people have heard most of the songs, the album itself might lose a bit of hype, but the longevity of the rollout and the actual content and cadence of the band's release just withstands and has more longevity to it, it seems, nowadays. Of course, mainstream music has already been using this method for a while now, but it's cool to see it kind of trickle into the metal scene and see, you know, if bands want to adapt, if they are going to adapt, if they just want to keep releasing just pure albums with a couple singles, or if you're going to start to see a lot more bands release basically albums and treat them like compilations of all of their singles instead, and make it so people have that constant content throughout the entire year, so bands are consistently reminding their audience, hey, we're here, we're doing stuff, without just making posts of, hey, you know, it's someone's birthday, we're here, you know, or hey, we're working on our heaviest record yet. You know, so it's interesting to see. I just want to talk about it, and yeah, I'm excited for more breakdowns.